another awesome day on this car. So a lot went down today in this 15-minute video, but I skipped through a lot because, like I always say, my usual excuse, the work got in the way of filming. But I took these decrepit steering rods off, steering rods, whatever you want to call them, and they obviously were decrepit and full of gunked up grease and all kinds of craziness. So I sanded them down to basically bare metal, and it's crazy, you can't really tell because I have them on white poster board ready for paint, and they don't look like they're that great looking, but they were sanded down very well. I wiped them down with acetone and everything, and it's just because I'm in the shade and the white background, it looks rough, but I assure you they were sanded. And as I was painting them, I put 2 or 3 coats on there, but as I was painting them, Ricky stopped by because he saw me in the garage, and he just hopped in and started going to work, man. Started sanding down the steering box and all the components, and he hopped right in there, man, while I was doing the painting, and which helped out a lot. I was filming him while I was waiting for the paint to dry and in between coats, and it's a big help because I was going to do that anyway after I was done, but him jumping in there and doing that for me while I was working, killed 2 birds with 1 stone, and got things done in half the time, which was great. But I found myself held up after we were done because I ran into a couple things. But I thought about clear coating it and leaving it like that. I love the way that looks when it's all sanded down, but I didn't have clear coat, so I just did that. I just painted black like everything else, so, which is fine. I mean, it all looks good in there together, and you're about to see the rest of it soon. But I ran into a couple issues, not problems, but just like some holdups. I had to wait for these to come in the mail, which didn't come till like 4 p.m. and the rest of the stuff I did was done around like 12 in the afternoon. So I had like 4 hours of just doing some little things here and there. But the heim joints came, they were the right size, they fit perfectly, which is very surprising. I mean, this is the second day in a row that things kind of went well, and I didn't run into too many hiccups. The only thing that I really had to do that I didn't have is I needed a longer bolt, because this straight axle kit came with a long bolt on the one side, I guess, for a steering component, for a steering rod to go into, and then on the other side it was just a short bolt. So I needed to get out and get a matching bolt at the hardware store, and so I did that while I was waiting for the mail to come, and I got a longer bolt. Now, even though it's a grade 8 bolt, the only difference is it's coarse thread instead of fine thread, which is no big deal. It still has a lock nut on it, and I'm not gonna complain. I'm just glad that they had the right bolt, because normally things don't work out very smoothly. So after everything was dry, of course, obviously it's later in the day because I had to wait 4 hours for the mail to come. Everything was dry and ready to go. Still a little tacky in some areas, but so be it. I just started going to town. I was so excited. It's a 94-degree day, and humid, but I wasn't ready to quit yet. I just wanted to keep going on this because I've been excited all week about putting this steering together. Ultimately, once the steering is together, my next step, which will be in the next video, is to weld these perches on and really fine tune this, make sure it's all dialed in correctly. And this is rough this is rough to do by yourself, because like if I had someone in there turning the wheel, I could be like, turn it a little bit more, but I had to guesstimate till it was right over top of that. And but ultimately I can kind of kick the tires around and do it. But Tomorrow I need to go get gas for the welder. I'm out of gas. So after I get gas for the welder, I need to get some more black paint, and then I'm going to weld the perches on, because right now, and you'll see later, I show an example, but right now, what happens when you turn and test out the steering, the whole entire car shifts on the axle. Like the axle needs, like I clamp it on there to test it, but it needs to be welded on there, and basically it just needs to be centered. And there's a lot that goes into that, which I'm going to get into tomorrow. I'm not going to get into it right now, but I got what I needed done today. So the other end, these screw right back in. They were in really good shape. They look brand new when I was done with them. So this whole area, and since Ricky sanded that steering box down, it really, everything looked brand new and fresh under there. I'm really happy with the way it looks. It's really self-explanatory. Everything hooked right in. I couldn't believe that everything just lined up and worked out. It is abnormal, because I've read other forums, and the guy that I was basing my build off of, not my build, but my straight axle off of, he did the same thing, but only he had to use a different steering box. He said his steering box didn't work out, and he had a Plymouth, a 1948 Plymouth, which is the same exact body, same exact steering components and everything as this. So I can't figure out how exactly he did that, like why he changed it if it lined right up the way mine did. I don't know, maybe something is different with the Plymouths, but to my knowledge, I thought they were exactly the same. Obviously, this is a very rough, like I'm just mocking this up basically just to make sure everything lines up and works. This is the first time I'm trying it, obviously. I didn't know if this was even going to work at the time when I was doing this, and I just got really lucky. I got really lucky that everything lined up and everything went together. I'm totally psyched about it. I thought that I was going to have to order a Vegas, it's called like a Vegas steering box from Speedway Motors. That's what I hear people using for these. And I was under the impression that this was going to be a way bigger headache than what it was. Because everything is. When you build these cars, nothing lines up right, nothing works out the way it's supposed to normally. No matter how hard you try, it's usually a much bigger pain. And the way this all went, I was really stoked about it. $30 for 2 heim joints is a small price to pay to have this go as simple as it did. Now the only reason I'm showing this process, because you're going to probably think like, is this really necessary to show this? Is just to show the order in which all of these washers go and all these spacers, which I don't even know if it's right, but it works. So this is the way I did it, in case any of you out there are building one of these. Which don't go by me, I don't know anything. This is all trial and error for me. And by the way, I'm going to throw out there, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I have zero plan of drag racing this. They're taking it. I mean, I might take it to the track to see like what it does and fool around with it, maybe tune it in, but I'm not going to be racing this against other opponents. It's so like things aren't, if I were racing this, I would probably have professionals involved to like really go over, to make sure everything was, I'm still going to have like people examine my work and make sure that I did things, to the point where they're safe. But I know that like this isn't all this, the way I'm doing it is not up to like racing standards. Like if I were going to be drag racing this every weekend, at the track, I probably would be investing in, I would have done the whole front end differently. But I'm going for that nostalgic gasser look, without dumping $60,000 into this, because that's about how much it costs to build a gasser. If you really want to do it and make it race ready and reliable, this is just going to be a weekend driver. Yeah, that's about how I did it. And I still, this is all trial and error. Like I might switch that up. I might put a bigger spacer in there, but for right now it turns and it does what it's supposed to do. So I don't think I'm going to. And also, I guess it's worth mentioning that I need to go back and grease all this stuff up. Like I need to take the wheels off and grease all the bearings inside of the spindles and everything that's in that. Everything needs greased up. I haven't greased anything. This is all just mocking it up to make sure it works. I'm not going to grease everything up and then it not work right, and then have to have a mess everywhere. Got to make sure there's rod ends are really tight as well. You don't want them spinning around on you. Alright, so that's, I clamped down the perches because, as I said, when you turn the wheel and they're not clamped down, it'll just slide left and right. The whole body of the car will slide. It won't stay put because those wheels are, it's heavy. Those wheels are hard to turn. So with it clamped down, this is the ultimate test. And I'm going like really slow because I don't want those clamps to pop off, so I was really babying it. I need someone else here. After I weld them in, I'm going to go back into the steering and really dial it in, but I'm going to hopefully have Ricky or somebody here doing the steering while I'm out there looking at it and making sure everything's, like the joints and everything are okay. And bam! Yeah. See, that's how much pressure there is. Like I really had those torqued down, and they need to be burnt in there, and burnt in they will be. So stay tuned for the next one. We're going to wrap up this front end, and it's going to be the last chapter of the straight axle, and it's going to be a done deal. Thanks for watching.